Well, hi there. I'm Nobody, and this is my first ever Transformer video, first ever Transformer toy video, Transformer customization video. And this is a project I've been wanting to do for a while now. It's not an original idea, but it is one I've been wanting to do. So I thought I would just make this video in case anybody else would actually be interested in what it is that I'm doing. And we're going to start this little project here with a review of this teeny tiny little guy right here. So this is the Newage Legendary Heroes Commander Critter figure, aka Bug Bite, the evil version of Bumblebee. And he's a cute little figure. He's an adorable little figure. Here he is beside Core Class Optimus Prime and Core Class Megatron from the War for Cybertron Kingdom line. And I will say, as an aside, I love these Core Class figures. They are the perfect size and price point for someone like myself who grew up with Transformers in the 1980s and who loves them and wants Transformer toys, but doesn't have the money or the space to devote to buying the full-size figures. I've got other things I got to spend my money on, and my wife won't let me have Transformers as like our home decor choice. So I got to content myself with just these little figures, $15 Canadian, which is a fantastic price point. The size isn't too bad. I can just keep them here in my little office, and they're just a perfect little thing to play with, a little thing to toy with, put on display. So Hasbro, I highly encourage you to keep producing core class figures, and especially of the Transformers the movie characters. I wouldn't spend $70 on a full-size Optimus Prime figure, but I would totally spend that on like a box set of core class sized Autobots and Decepticons from the movie. So, Cup, Hot Rod, Blur, RC Springer, Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, all those guys. I would spend that kind of money on box sets of core class figures of that size. But we're going to be working with Critter here, who is the perfect figure for what I want to do. But first of all, let's just do a little quick transformation here so you can see what he looks like in both modes. And there we go. We have a more or less transformed Critter slash Bug Bite. Again, not the hugest figure, but that is okay. It'll only be a little bit complicated for what I've got coming up as I'm trying to customize them. And except he's not fitting together. This is one thing that at least the one that I got, the tooling isn't the best. He's not fitting together perfectly, as perfectly as I'd like, but that's okay. Here he's also compared to a Hot Wheels Herbie, and that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be turning Bug Bite here, a Critter here, into a Herbie figure. So now here we go. Here's again my model, the Hot Wheels Herbie, and here is Bug Bite slash Critter. Now, the first things first is that there's a couple of cosmetic things I have to do to Bug Bite here. And the first thing I want to do is actually, I want to glue down these little flaps back here. So I'm not going to actually transform him back into his robot form here, just quickly. Because the way that they've designed this figure is that these back flaps are actually supposed to come down. They're supposed to fold in like this. And I'm not really a big fan of that. I think it kind of looks a little bit So what I want to do is I'm actually going to just put in a couple dabs of some Gorilla Glue in there, and hopefully that will solve the problem of those moving around. Alright, so the Gorilla Glue is setting up. It's been a couple minutes through the magic of YouTube, and it's still a little bit wet, but it's enough that we can carry on. So the next thing I want to do is this leg. This leg is a little bit limp here, so I want to fix that up. And what I've heard is that just applying a bit of clear nail polish to the ball joints actually works for stiffening those up. So I'm going to try and work it here. And actually, that's perfect, getting rid of those, because I will need to keep those off later. Now, take a little bit of clear nail polish here. And just going to paint up these joints a little bit. Going to do this probably a couple layers, I would imagine, is what I will need to just add a few micrometers of thickness to these ball joints. And that should hopefully stop the legs from being so flippy floppy. So I'm going to do a couple of those and meet you back in a sec. Okay, so I've applied a few layers of clear nail polish. While I'm waiting for that to dry, now comes the next part, which is one of the touchier parts. And that is taking off all of this tramp stamp, this flash tattoo here. I am in agreement that this figure should have just been shipped plain, and that included as a decal or something like that, which would have made it easier to customize it, whether you wanted to add a Decepticon logo on there or whatever, or in my case, the Herbie stripes. Now, I've got a couple options here. I'm going to experiment. First option is using alcohol and some elbow grease. I know 97% is usually what's recommended. I could only find 99%, so I'm going to try with this. If this doesn't work, if I give up on it, then I do have the nail polish remover. Very, very careful with that. I don't want to end up dissolving the figure, so I'm going to use this very sparingly as my second to last resort. If that doesn't even work, then what I'm going to try and do is then just paint over this with gray, which technically is the movie accurate version of Herbie. We think of Herbie as looking like this, but he actually has a gray cover on the top of his roof there, so he can be convertible. But everybody likes just the plain white because it looks best. But regardless. So I'm going to first experiment here with the rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to pour a little bit in the cap there. Get that all over my table here. It's already white, thankfully, so I'm not going to bleach it. And let's just get this going here. Well, the alcohol worked. As you can see, that came nice and clean off. Unfortunately, it worked better than expected because it also took off some of the paint on the window there. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that. I wasn't planning on repainting the windows, but I guess I might just have to do that. So, anyways. So here we go. We've got him looking a little sharper now. And, yeah, now we go to what might be the next step here in applying the decals. So here we go. We've got my water, we've got my microsol, my microset, microsol, don't get those mixed up. And I've got my decals. Now these come from my custom Hot Wheels in Australia, and they included some instructions. Here are the water slide decals for Herbie, and he also threw in some of these extra decals. Don't know what I'll use these for, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. At any rate, so now I got to figure out how to get these things onto this guy. It's going to be a little bit complicated because I've got to get, of course, the 53 on the hood, looking at the Hot Wheels version here. So I've got the 53 on the hood I've got to do. And the hood is broken up between his legs right here. I've got the 53 on the doors, so I got to get those on there. And my doors are just these tiny little flaps right there, so that should be interesting. And I've got to get the red and blue stripes up his side here and down the back here. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the back 53 logo yet either. So we'll figure that out. So I'm just going to put the microsol, microset, and the water aside here for a second, because what I got to figure out is what should go where. Now, I'm probably going to use this little logo right here. That looks about the right size that I want. Just trying to guesstimate here roughly where that should go. So, okay. Push more, push onto the model where the decals to be applied. All right. So, just going to uncap the micro set. And I'm going to start with the big one. God willing, that will do what it needs to do. So with the micro set there just for a sec. Really nervous about this part because I really want this to work. Throw a Q-tip right there. So I'm going to apply the decal where it's supposed to go. Once it's dried enough here, then I will use the micro set, or sorry, micro sole, sorry, to get it into those little grooves and around the detailing there on the hood. This little piece should be interesting because it's going to be directly on that line. So the chances of me actually getting that looking good are a little challenging, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take that off. Take that out. Sorry. That on there. Okay, and let's just see here. Is it coming? It is coming off the backing like crazy. Now people say get out your tweezers and do this, but it's already attaching to my fingers. Okay. So now we just stick that in place. You know what I didn't do? Is put the microsol on. Alright, so let's just quickly do that. Shoop, shoop, there we go. Alright. Now back to this. Stick that on there. Line it up. And almost, oh. It's being fussy. Looks, put that in the water there. Looks almost perfect. That needs to be over a little bit. That went on way easier than I was expecting it to go on. So that is perfect. I'm just going to take out some of the excess here. That actually worked out stupidly easy. I'm actually in shock at how easily that went on. Well, pleasant surprise for my first time really doing this. Okay, now that one I'm not expecting to go quite as easy. Let's see here. Oh, the decals to be applied. Let's apply microsol onto the decal. Okay. Okay, so now is the fun part. I'm going to get out a little brush here. Cheapo little craft brush from the dollar store. And I'm going to take a little bit of that good stuff there, and I'm just going to brush that on. And hopefully that does what it's supposed to do. Around the edge there. All right, now, this part I'm not looking forward to. Let's see how well this goes. Actually, what I need to do is that. So I can get those guys lined up. Okay. They're supposed to, so it looks more or less correct. Boop. There we go. Here's hoping. All right. This to me is the most nerve-wracking part. If I can get this part down, the rest is going to be pretty easy. I was worried about this, but it seems to be shaping up pretty nicely. Not a big fan of that not being totally flush. That's just my own fault, though. So I'm not gonna sweat it too much. Yeah. Oh well, whatever. That'll be fine. It'll be fine. Not a big fan of that either. Oh well. Okay, that is garbage. That can go out of the way. As well. Get that little nub right there. Could be useful for something. Okay. Alright, let's see. Are you good? Coming apart? You are coming apart. Okay. Just going to dab some micro soul. Thank reset. I keep getting those confused. I know what they are. I just keep mixing up their names. Okay. Take that apart carefully. Come on. There we go. And put that in place. You gotta be kidding me. How easy was that? That, I think, is going to do for that. And now it's the waiting game on that part. Which means I can do one of two things. I can carry on with the body and get the rest of that going, or I can work on the doors. Now, I might as well work on the doors first, since that is, I already got the legs out. So, now my problem with the doors is that that sticker, I got that decal. We'll start with these two sort of not quite extra small, not extra small, door decals here. Okay. So far, so good. You know, I'm still in shock that went on so easily. I was expecting that to be really super complicated, and it ended up not being as complicated. So that is everything coming up Millhouse right now. Hopefully I don't jinx it. Okay. Tweezers. How are you doing in here? Have you absorbed enough water? Oh, no, get over here, you. Are you coming off your backing yet? Yes, you are. Okay, perfect. So now I'm just going to take that off. I keep saying use tweezers, but I've been finding that the tweezers haven't been super necessary. Okay, well, that is not moving around easily. Alright, let's just get these out. He says, I don't need the tweezers, and then the tweezers are the only thing that work. Alright. So that's bigger than I wanted, but you know, that is gonna have to do, I think. Because otherwise, yeah, that's just too much work. I wish this came with two of the smaller, like the teeny tiny size of the door logo. But I'm not going to complain too hard, because I'm glad that somebody is making these at all. Plus, I'm mostly going to keep this guy in robot mode, because that's the point, really. So I'm not going to sweat that the doors aren't perfect. Alright, so a little bit of the micro soul on there. Moving it around. Actually straightened it out for me. It kind of worked out weirdly good. Just move that back a little bit. That's fine. That's fine, whatever. As long as the door moves, dorsal moves. Alright, good. That's fine. Alright, so there is door number 1. And now we can move on to door number 2. Feeling the pressure, like, do I let it sit for long enough in the water, or do I appease the YouTube masses who are turning this off? I don't know, what do all 3 of you watching this video think? And once again, using my big, dumb, goofy fingers, put that on there, squish that in, move that around. Perfect. Dab out the excess. Even though I hate dabbing, I actually used to work in a museum teaching children. And the year where dabbing and bottle flipping was a thing, I actually had to make a rule. No dabbing, no flossing, no Fortnite dances. I do think that I was fairly suited to working with kids, since I am a man-child making a transformer into Herbie. That is about as man-child as it gets. Thank God I'm already married. Okay. So there we go. We've got a pair of door decals on Herbie / Bumblebee / Bugbite. We've got the micro soul doing its thing. Whoop. And let's just double check this. How does that look when it's put together? Looks as good as it's going to get. I actually don't mind that it's off a little bit, because that actually makes it look like a real toy. You know, if Hasbro, they've already done Transformers / Back to the Future, Transformers / Ghostbusters and stuff. If they actually did a Transformers / Herbie, which should be the next one, this is how it would actually look in the store. So that actually contents me quite a lot. So now I gotta let those dry. I gotta let those do their thing. So I'm gonna put those off to the side now for the next day. Those will probably be down there. Next up, we got the torso. Now, I've got a couple things going on here. I've got to get that red stripe on that part there. I've got to get this part here. Flip those wheels down, so a little maneuver. I've got to get the blue stripe on here. And in fact, what I want to do is add a blue stripe to this entire part right there. And then I've got to get the stripe going along there and along the back. I'm not going to bother trying to get the stripe going up on this part here. I think that's going to be a little too complicated for me, and I don't really need it for what is really going to be a display piece. So, first things first. So why am I going to all this work to make a Herbie figure? Am I really that big of a Herbie fan? The answer is not exactly. Herbie the Love Bug is certainly one of the better movies that Disney produced in the late 60s, early 70s, that period just after Walt Disney passed away, which was not a good time for the company overall. I actually don't buy the myth that it's because Walt Disney passed away that the company was doing poorly, because I've actually watched every Disney movie made between 1937 and 1967, the year after Walt Disney passed away. And it is my considered opinion that the company was already producing not so great movies in the 60s. Mary Poppins is one of the best movies of all time, of course, but it is a rarity in Disney movies at the time. Most Disney movies in the 60s were actually, I mean, they were passably entertaining for the most part. But I wouldn't call them great cinema. Definitely not compared to Disney films of the 30s, both of them, 30s, 40s, 50s. 60s were a bit of a dry time. But yeah, The Love Bug was definitely one of the better movies made after Walt Disney's passing. It's just an iconic image, really. That's the main thing, is that, you know, the white Volkswagen Beetle, the 53, the racing stripes, all that sort of stuff is such an iconic image that it just cries out to be made into a toy. And until such time as Hasbro makes an official Transformers X Herbie figure, you know, they made a Mickey Mouse Optimus Prime before they actually made a Herbie Transformer, which is a bit like, what? So as it is what it is. Just as to make the official one, this one's going to have to do me. So let's see here. Are you? Oh, okay, that is coming off. Oh, that is. We lost the paper. Okay. So now, once again, because I am like the worst person to model how to model, I'm using my fingers. And look at that. Perfect again. This project is practically doing itself for me. Oh, this is so close I can taste it to being done. I just gotta keep my fingers off of it and stop messing around with it. Alright. Now the back part. Okay, how's this gonna look? So, we've got... Okay. Huh. You know what? I think I'm only going to do it to there. To that back window there. Which isn't painted, by the way. Because I really... Yeah, you know, this is going to be hidden underneath the jetpack so much. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Because again, I'm mostly going to keep this guy in robot mode, because really the purpose is that's the point. I already have a Herbie car, right? So that's not the problem. The issue is I wanna have a Herbie robot. That a little bit there. I think it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. I think that's been a few seconds. Got that off there. I'm sure people who do water slide decals have been watching me going like, oh my god, he's not dabbing it off, he's not doing this or that, he's using his fingers. What is with this guy? This guy is a total amateur. That is what's going on with this guy. This guy has only ever worked with water slide decals once before in his entire life, when he was working on a model train, and never before with a transformer. That is close enough. I think that is going to do for now. And I don't want to fuss anything else up. So here is what I'm going to do. I am going to sign off for now. In fact, here, let me... Oh, hello. I'm going to sign off for now, and we'll come back tomorrow and see how everything looks, and hopefully, it all pulls together and it all looks half decent. We can carry on with the finishing touches on this Herbie Transformer figure. So, hi, welcome back. A lot has transpired since the last part of the video there. I actually decided just to go ahead and finish off the figure and spare you all sort of the gory, nickly details about how I did it. And here it is. And it actually turned out just way better than I could have ever hoped for. In fact, I'm a bit surprised it didn't turn out like a total piece of garbage, considering this is my first attempt at customizing a Transformer. So let's take a look at the details here. Herbie with Core Class Optimus and Core Class Megatron. And yeah, this figure just turned out way better than I could have ever hoped for. So as you can see, still kept the decals on there. That worked out nicely. I also added some decals to his jetpack here. His license plate and the 53. Take that off. I also added those to the back there. I did decide to go with the 53. In the spare tire there, worked out actually quite nicely. Still a little bit big, but with enough the micro sole, it actually worked out nicely. And I added a bit of blue there to his head, because this was a problem I was facing with his eyes. Of course, Herbie's a good guy, but red eyes are a bad guy thing, and I didn't trust myself repainting. In fact, I wanted to keep painting this figure as much to a minimum as possible. So instead of trying to paint over the red eyes with blue, I thought, you know what, the red's already part of Herbie's color scheme. If I can just add the blue stripe there, take some of that extra stripe that I trimmed off when adding the blue stripes to his body, use a bit of that on the head, and that worked out perfectly, worked out amazingly. And I did have to do some painting, though, on the windshield, because when I'd used the alcohol to take off the flash tattoo he had on his chest, I had accidentally taken off some of the windshield as well, left a fingerprint on there. And I was not happy with that, because it means I had to paint over it. I had to paint it. And I didn't trust the paint that I have, because I didn't have like good like enamel model paint. All I have is RPG miniature paints that I mainly use to paint up animal figures like Safari and Schleich and that sort of thing. And this stuff does not go on very well. It goes on very thick, very streaky, especially on a flat, smooth surface like the windshield. So I applied it to the windshield and his windows here, and it did come out looking a little bit streaky. I wasn't really happy with that. So I experimented first with alcohol, brushing some on, see if it smoothed it out. That just kind of took it off. So I tried microsol. Used a bunch of layers of microsol, painted it on, let it dry, painted it on again. And it worked a little bit, not the best. I think I was just resigning myself to, okay, this figure is only going to really look good from a distance. I did have to use a bit of alcohol to clean up a bit around the windows and stuff where my painting skills weren't totally up to snuff. But then a weird thing happened. I gave this figure a bit of a light dusting with some varnish, Citadel varnish here, a matte varnish, because I didn't want to have I didn't use a gloss varnish because I didn't want to have these weird shiny bits on him where the rest of the figure was matte. So I went with the matte finish there, and it actually it filled in. I don't know what it did, but it filled in enough with the windows and the windshield and everything that the paint job at the end here is basically the same in texture and consistency as the paint job he came with, which blew me away. And I'm very happy about it, very pleased that this figure turned out, like I said, way better than I could have possibly imagined it would have come out. I was bracing myself for a figure that I would just content myself with, okay, well, it's my figure, at least, so there's something. And he's still fully transformable. So let me just give that a shot there, show you what I mean. So we'll just flip that up again. I managed to keep everything fully transformable, which, again, I wasn't totally confident. I was, especially with the giving it the finish, that it was just going to gum up everything. You can see here how I did that, the blue stripe on there. I did the whole arm, even though I only needed a little bit of it. I thought, it's a good look if I keep the whole, give his whole arm the blue stripe there. I'll do this here. The again, the doors, the decals were a bit too big. That's just something I had to live with. I had to work with. Wasn't anything going to change that. I didn't have enough of the small size ones to do anything useful with. And then we just fold that back around. Get those hands in there if I can. Come on, get in there. There we go. And close up the back tires, open up the front tires. Yes, as people have noted, these front tires, none of these tires actually rotate. They are purely aesthetic. That is fine. I don't really care about that because, again, this is a display piece. I'm not playing with this figure, but there we go. There is Herbie in his vehicle mode and looking better than I could have ever hoped for. Here's compared to a Hot Wheels figure. Again, not totally movie accurate, but I'm really contented with how this turned out. If they actually made a Herbie X Transformers crossover figure, this is what I would expect to find on the store shelf. So it turned out, again, better, way better than I could have ever actually hoped for. So there you have it. That is my custom Herbie X Transformers. The only outstanding issue is I'm trying to decide if I should actually make him a legit Autobot. Because of course Herbie would be an Autobot. I'm trying to decide if I should get little itty bitty Autobot stickers so I can put it on his shoulder there, or if I should even go for the rub-on and put it there where on the actual Herbie there's the cloth covering there for his sunroof. Not sure. As it is right now, though, I mean, again, this figure turned out far, far better than I could have ever hoped he would have turned out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video that I made here on my making Herbie the Love Bug, Commander Love Bug, Autobot City